Let's talk about collecting data through surveys. Suppose we wanted to know the percentage of adults 21 and over in Colorado who've used marijuana in the last 30 days. What is the population and the population parameter of interest? The population, or population of interest, is the entire group that you want to gather information about. In this case, the population is all adults in Colorado. The population parameter of interest is what we want to know about the population. The percentage of adults 21 and over in Colorado who've used marijuana in the last 30 days, in this case. Can you survey everyone in the population? Usually not. In this case, certainly not, because there are several million adults aged 21 and over in Colorado. Instead, you survey a sample of the population, a subset of the population. The sampling frame is the list of individuals from which you draw the sample. How big a sample do you have to pick? You don't need an enormous sample. Large-scale surveys are often based on a sample of around 1,000 people. That is big enough to get a decent estimate. What makes a survey good is the size of the sample, not the fraction of the population that we survey. That is irrelevant. So it doesn't matter whether we're looking at the state of Colorado or the entire United States. 1,000 people is good enough. You want a random sample of the population. This means that everyone in the population has the same probability of being chosen. Here's one way to collect a random sample. Flip a coin. If it's heads, you randomly pick 1,000 men to survey. If it's tails, you randomly pick 1,000 women to survey. What is the problem with picking a sample in this way? It really is a random sample. Everyone in the population has the same probability of being chosen, but the sample will not be representative of the population as a whole. More than a random sample, what you really want is a simple random sample, or SRS. Every group of N people from the population has the same chance of being picked for the sample. Suppose we wanted to know the percentage of adults 21 and over in Colorado who have used marijuana in the last 30 days. Tell me the problem with surveying people in this way. We go to a mall and survey the people who happen to be there. This is not a random sample. Mall goers include a disproportionate number of teenagers and retired people. And I know, because I've got teenagers. This is an example of convenience sampling. The pollster surveys people who are easy to reach. The result is convenience bias. The sample is biased and not random because it was chosen by a convenience sampling. This is also an example of undercoverage. Certain groups are less likely to be chosen than they should be, like me, 50-something guys, because the only reason we go to the mall is to pick up our teenage kids from the mall. Tell me the problem with surveying people in this way. We send out questionnaires and ask people to fill them out and send them back to us. This is a voluntary response sample or a self-selected sample. They're usually useless. The problem is that people have to take the initiative to do this, and people who feel strongly about the matter will be more likely to respond. Another example is phone-in polls on TV news shows. They are useless. Here's another example of this. Advice columnist Ann Landers asked her readers to write to her with their response to the question, if you had to do it again, if you had to do it over again, would you have children? 70% said no. The New York Newsday selected a national random sample of 1,373 parents and asked them the same question. If you had to do it over again, would you have children? Here, 91% said yes. Why the difference? Ann Landers relied on voluntary responses, but the New York Newsday surveyed people. Again, voluntary responses, self-selected samples, worthless. By the way, about 1/3 of the adults 21 and over in Colorado have used marijuana in the last 30 days.